Hello, this is Scholastic Sam. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, on the subject of Algebra 2, we will be discussing one of the most important topics, which will truly help you understand graphs and equations and all that good stuff, investigating functions. Now, there are 13 parts. You already know 3. Usually, you're going to have to write down the main 10. Now, the 3 you already know are the graph, how it's written out in the Cartesian plane, the equation, the function of x that models it, and the parent function, which if you don't know about those, please go check out my video. Now there are also intercepts, domain and range, asymptotes, symmetries, maximum, minimum, when it's increasing, when it's decreasing, and when it's constant. Now first, intercepts, the x-intercept. There can be multiple, in which case you just draw them next to these two, but an x-intercept is going to be when y is 0, what is x? This is a big deal, more important than the y-intercept, because there's so many things to find this out. Like that's the whole point of factoring and the quadratic function or quadratic equation. So you're gonna find when y is 0 and what x is. Then you're gonna write that down. It's gonna be where it intercepts the x-axis. Now y-intercept, as you can imagine, is where it intercepts the y-axis. When x is 0, what is y? I'm going to write that down too. Now, asymptotes. Vertical asymptote is x equals some number. It's going to be going this way. You want to draw it with a dashed line to help you with the graph. And this is going to be a line that it always gets closer to but never reaches. And the horizontal asymptote, it's going to be y equals some number. The same thing, but it goes like that. It's going to be some line that the graph always gets close to but never reaches. Domain and range. Now, we have the range is the lowest y to the highest y. It's the range of all y's. The domain is the lowest x to the highest x. It's the range of all x's. Now, I forgot to write this down, but if it includes that number, you're going to write in a bracket. If it excludes that number, like infinity or in a radical, you're going to write parentheses. So, but if it's a quadratic, let's say it's y equals x squared, and the vertex is at 0, 0. 0 is the lowest y value. You're going to write a bracket there, the lowest y, because it includes 0, but you're going to write a parentheses on the other side for infinity, because it excludes infinity, because we know that's not a number. Now we have increasing, decreasing, and constant. You're just going to write it's increasing from this x value to that x value. Your teacher may want you to write out the actual coordinates, but you're probably not going to have to. And if it includes that, you'd also do brackets. So if you have one that goes like this, you'd say it increases it's constant from here to here, increases from here, it's like over here, and decreases from there, it's like there. You just write the x values. Now, symmetries. There are 3 symmetries. Y-axis symmetry is less important because, of course, if it's a function, it can't have y-axis symmetry. But it just means that if you reflect it over the x-axis, x-axis symmetry, reflected over the y-axis symmetry, and point of origin, that's symmetry. It means if you reflect it over those lines or points, it's going to be the same. Now, x-axis symmetry, f of x equals f of negative x. That means that if you put in 1, you're going to get the same y values if you put in x as negative 1. And f of negative x equals negative f of x. That means that if you put in negative 1, you're going to get the same thing as if you put in 1 and then just took a negative of that y. You're going to get the same y value. I move on to maximum and minimum. These can also, be in brackets. Remember, brackets includes, parentheses excludes that number. So it's going to be the maximum is going to be, you might only have to write the y because it's for y values. Remember that. Minimum, maximum is y values. Domain is x, range is y, and when it asks you for increasing, decreasing, and constant, that is going to, it might be both, but usually that's going to be x. So maximum, you're going to find the maximum point, whether it's the absolute or a global or local one. We may discuss that in another video. That's going to be the highest point on the graph. You're going to have to write the coordinates for that, and the lowest point on the graph. Now, if it keeps continuing, that may just be negative infinity, infinity, or it may just be like negative infinity. It may be, minimum, I'm supposed to say lowest y there. So it could be infinity, infinity, negative infinity, or it could just be actual numbers. We go on to, that's the end. So, now we go on to Desmos. So, let's look about our first one. Now, move that over. We already know that's the equation, and that's the graph. So, we're going to move this over maybe. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. So, let's look first. We have the graph equation, parent function. Okay, intercepts. The x-intercept, as we see, is at 1, 0. The y-intercept is at 0, -5. Now, this one has, so, well, this was just a negative there, actually. Just be a positive. So this, sorry, there is no x-intercept, so we just write none. And the y-intercept is at 0, 11. So, yeah. Then we have the domain. The domain is going to be parentheses negative infinity, because it's, if you keep going, it's eventually going to keep going. It's never going to stop going that way, and never going to stop going that way. It's going to be negative infinity to infinity. And here we go to range is going to be, well, we see this point here, it includes 3, so it's going to be bracket 3, infinity, because it's going to keep increasing. It's never going to ever stop. Oh, shoot. When we go to asymptotes, there are no asymptotes, so we just write none. We already did. Oh, symmetries. It doesn't have any symmetry, but I guess if you want to get really technical, if you drew a line up from here, it would have a symmetry it would be symmetrical across the point x equals 2, because if you draw a dashed line for where all places where x equals 2 and reflect it over that, that's where it's going to be, because that's the vertex. The vertex is at 2, 3. So here we look at the maximum. Maximum is just infinity. Well, the highest x is just going to be infinity, because, and also negative infinity, it has 2 maximums, because so is the highest. And then the minimum is just going to be this point, 2, 3. And those are going to be those ones are going to be in brackets. So then we go to where it's increasing. It's increasing from these, I think, yeah, these are going to be, so these may be in parentheses or brackets. I forgot, sorry. It's going to be, I think, yeah, no, this is in parentheses. It's going to be from 2 to infinity, increasing, and decreasing from negative infinity to 2. So we see that right there. Keep clicking that. Then we go over to its constant. It's never constant. We've got all those. Okay. Next. Equals. We see the equation there. Y equals 2 to the x plus 2. I had to write 2 plus x because when I try to do plus 2, it writes it down here. Then plus 1, so we know. Over here we can see parent function. Oh, yeah, we feel the other one. The parent function was y equals x squared. It was a quadratic. This is y equals b to the x. This is exponential. Over here, domain is just going to be negative infinity to positive infinity, because it's always going to increasingly get closer to infinity as x, and always increasing get to negative infinity as x over there. Sorry, dang it. And the range is just going to be, well, the asymptote, we'll get to that, it is at 1, and so it's going to keep getting closer to 1 but never reach it, so it excludes 1, parentheses 1, and parentheses infinity, because it's going to keep going up. We go to, intercepts. The x-intercept, I should have probably made there an intercept. We'll say, well, we'll make one for this one. We'll make this one, actually. Minus, like, 4, because I realized none of mine actually have x-intercepts. For this one, the y-intercept is at 0, 5. There is no x-intercept. The maximum is just infinity. The minimum is 1. Symmetries, there are no symmetries, because you can't reflect it off of any point to get the same thing. Really, increasing. It's always increasing, so from negative infinity to infinity, it's never decreasing, and it's never constant. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, why? equals. Now this one, a radical. So we know the parent function is just y equals square root of x. It's a radical. We saw the equation and the graph. If you guys don't understand how I know some of these, or got from the equation to the graph and all that, don't understand how I know all that, check out my videos on these different ones, because I have videos explaining each of the parent functions and each of the graphs. So intercepts, we see the x-intercept is -1, 0. The y-intercept is going to be 4√2 minus 4. Because we see 0, 0 plus 2 is 2. Square root of 2 is just √2. 4√2 minus 4. I guess we'll do stuff on simplifying radicals later, even though that wasn't simplifying radicals. There are no asymptotes. Probably should have done with a vertical asymptote, but our vertical asymptote is just, let's see, which one's that? A rational functions have vertical asymptotes. Minimum, the minimum is going to be, see right there, it's going to be -2, it's going to be -4 for the y value. The minimum point is going to be in parentheses, because it's not actually including there, because if it's -2, it would be square root of 0, and you can't have a square root of 0. So the minimum is just going to be -2, -4. It's going to be -4. Then the maximum is just going to be infinity, infinity, because it's always going to keep going up. It may not look like it, but eventually, like, it's going to keep, no matter how high you goes, no matter how high, if the x is increasing, the y is going to keep increasing. I forgot the main and range. No, turn this off. Oops. Just doing a little SAT practice there. Some stuff for Model UN. So the domain is going to be -4 in parentheses to infinity in parentheses. And I mean, that's going to be the range. And then the domain, which is the range of all x's, is going to be, so it's going to be -2 parentheses to infinity, because lowest x is -2, highest x is infinity, and lowest y is -4, highest y is infinity. Anything we missed? Asymptotes, no symmetries. It's never decreasing, it's never constant. It's increasing from -2, -4. So it's increasing from -2 to infinity. Those would both be in parentheses. And yeah, I don't think I missed anything. So yeah, guys, it's always a good idea to experiment in Desmos and look at these, because these, you're probably gonna have to write them out. Like my teacher, on my test, you'd have to put like a colon and write those out. So yeah, thank you to my math teacher, Mr. Barrett, for teaching me all this information. If you guys have any comments, please put them down in the comment section. Any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them down in the comment section, because I look at all comments. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you like the content and like the channel. It also helps this knowledge reach more people. And please turn on post notifications, ring that bell, because you guys will be needing my videos all throughout high school, because these classes are hard, and I explain to you guys thoroughly the information. So yeah, if you watch these videos, you can ace high school with these. I think that's all. From next time, for my next Algebra 2 videos, I'm also doing chemistry, but I start pre-calculus, which is, well, I mean, I've taken trig and college algebra. Some of you have pre-calculus. That's just the combination of the two classes. So I want to get started on those videos. Thank you guys. Bye. And always remember, knowledge is power.